It's Diana Newen here from Trinity Health and Living, and I hope you've all been well. It's been a while since I've done a video, so here we are. And the topic of today was actually something that came up in a conversation that I was having with my beautiful shamanic sister, Healing Grounds Byron Bay, otherwise known as Eloise. And it's about videoing or recording healing sessions. So, when we were talking about it, I was thinking that there were two possible scenarios in which you would like to record your session. One of them is when you're doing it online, say on Zoom. I find it really beneficial if you record the session because it kind of helps you to, remember everything that was said during the session. Because I know for me as a practitioner myself, because I'm a channel, I can easily just forget what has just come out of my mouth. So it's always good in a way to look back at the session to see what has happened. And also what tends to happen in, the sessions is that I might say something, but there's so many layers of meaning to what is said. And so at that particular point in time, what was said might mean one thing. And then you go back and you look at it in, a few weeks down track or months or years. And I'll say, you'll listen to me say exactly the same words, but you have a deeper meaning to it. And so, that can always happen as well. And yeah, recording Zoom sessions, I always advise if you want to do it for personal reasons, which is for the reasons that I've said before. And I have no problems with that at all. So, if you do record the Zoom sessions or want the Zoom sessions to be recorded with me, because I don't automatically do it, just let me know at the beginning of the session and I'm happy to hit the record button and then send you a link to download the video later on. Just also know that I won't be keeping copies of those videos. So, once you download it, I'll delete them and that's it. So it's just really for you. It's for your reference. So that's the first type of video recording and the purpose for it, which I'm down with. You can do that. I'm all good with that. The second one was something that kind of raised a little bit of concern for me. And that's more around videoing your healing sessions for the purposes of putting it up on social media, for example. And I know for some people, they want to put up sessions on social media so that other people can have an idea of what a shamanic session is like. Because let's face it, there's still a lot of people out there who don't really understand shamanism. They've never really been to a shamanic session before, even though the shamanic practitioner and the session that unfolds with that practitioner is completely different for everyone. But in some ways, it might be a good educational tool to have out there so that people kind of know potentially what to expect. So when I was talking about this with Eloise, there were a couple of red flags that came up automatically. And one is really to understand the intent of why you want to put it out there for everyone to see. Because when you enter into a healing session, you're entering into sacred space. And it's really a place for you to go deep. It's a place for you to be vulnerable. And it's a place for you to be seen and accepted for who you are. And for some people, the topics that are covered in the shamanic healing can be really deep and they can be triggering for other people. For example, those who suffer PTSD from a traumatic event in their lives, such as being sexually abused as a child or, physically abused by someone, when a video of that content can come out, it can be quite traumatic and disturbing for other people to watch. So, we have to kind of have to think about the type of energy that we want to put out there, right? So that's one example. The other example is like, if you're going in for the purposes of recording a session so that you can share with everyone else, are you as a client in a state to be able to drop deep and to become vulnerable like that? For me, I know with a lot of my clients, like, they're only going to do that when they feel safe. And so are you going to feel safe having everyone in the whole wide world knowing what you're disclosing and what has gone on within your healing? And let me say, like, some healings are easy, like you just lie there and the practitioner might just move their hands around, they might sing or do whatever, and it's all good. But there are equally sessions where you will go into catharsis. You will be a sobbing mess, crying on the table. You will get angry. You will want to throw things around. You'll be dry retching. You almost want to be, vomiting up stuff. Do you really want that sort of stuff out there for everyone? The other thing is, if you're going to put it out there, just know that everything's energy. And when you put yourself in a vulnerable state out there for the public, if your practitioner has not set up the space and made it safe enough so that no other sorts of energies can come in, because time is not linear, every single time that session is watched, the energy from those that are watching can actually begin to affect the healing on various levels. And so you want to be careful about that. And if you choose to go down the path of having your healing recorded, I would strongly recommend that you seek permission from your practitioner beforehand to do that and see whether they're comfortable, because you're actually filming footage of them and they actually have a right to say whether or not they are comfortable with being recorded in their capacity as a shamanic practitioner and comfortable in how you're actually going to be using the video, right? Because there are some practitioners who may not be very comfortable with that, and other practitioners who might not necessarily understand the consequences of having that video being seen by others. And when I say this, I go back to this whole thing about creating that safe space and ensuring that, you've got the appropriate protections around so that nothing can come in to interfere with the healing. And I'm even going to go so far as to say, if a practitioner has not thought about something like that and hasn't put things in place to protect themselves and their client around that sort of stuff, I would be very wary about going to see that practitioner. That's just my personal perspective. You do whatever you want, right? This is me just kind of talking off the top of my head in terms of the certain concerns that I have around that sort of thing. So, yeah, because I think it's nice to have, certain things out there so people have an idea of what's going on. But again, if you don't really understand how things work metaphysically, and to be honest, like, I only understand a little bit. There's a lot that I do not understand, right? And so I'm not going to go into willy-nilly and coming up with all these sorts of things. It's just kind of based on what I feel around the topic. Just be careful. Just consider whether or not it's the right thing for you to do. It's almost like what I'd say in terms of certain people who confess to be light workers, who are only all about love and light and everything's great and, rainbows and unicorns and all that kind of stuff, and kind of bypasses the concept of the shadow and that there might be dark things there. It's a similar thing in terms of just, being ignorant around the bigger picture and how things might actually work. So yeah, if you ever feel like you want to be able to, have a video out there to help people understand a little bit more about shamanic healing and where you're the client and all that kind of stuff, I would personally recommend perhaps just filming little parts of it. Maybe you sitting down with a practitioner and the practitioner just talking you through what can happen. Don't let it get too personal. If you wanted, you could even film yourself lying on the table or whatever, and the practitioner just waving their hands and doing what they do, playing a drum or whatever, just so it gives people a little bit of an idea of what's going on, but not really about releasing like what's actually going on in a session. And it's not for fear of, criticism of the practitioner or anything like that. It's more of just protecting your own sacred space. Because I'm pretty sure with many of you, there are certain things that you're only willing to share with certain people. And especially in this day and age of social media and influencers and all that kind of stuff, really got to think about your boundaries. And sometimes if you were to put out content like that, you're actually, you're actually weakening your own boundaries that you have with everyone else. But again, if you've made the choice that you're happy for that to happen, then go ahead. I'm just cautioning you around it, that's all. So, yeah, there are my thoughts on videos and recording healing sessions. If you've got any other questions around it, pop me a message or an email or whatever, and I'm more than happy to chat to you about it. But yeah, just give you some food for thought. So there we go, and I hope you guys have a great day. Chat to you later. Bye.